the alphabet variety of their choice. Conversation and the opportunity. Be the leader. Therefore, process. Welcome, Miss Julie, and thank you so much for being part on Abstract Essay. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I missed?
Thank you so much, Daniel. It's great to be here. Uh, I am an author. I write. Uh, I write romance. I write a lot of a couple of different genres, romantic suspense, and I also write. I have a series about vampires too, so I suppose that puts me into the paranormal genre. But a lot of my writing has a lot of suspense and thrills in it. So that's sort of where I sit most of the time. I've been writing for 25 years, about. Yeah. Um, First time I started to really write for publication, I did it because I was dared. So
Mm.
I told a friend, "This book is horrible." And she said, "Well, I dare you to write a better one." So that's how I got started.
Interesting. And Miss Julie, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, so tell us, what are your writing process to all your books?
Uh, I start with my characters. So I start with somebody who's interesting and also troubled, somebody who's got a good moral compass, but also has gone through trauma. I like people who are very much like everyone else around us every day. You know, they have positives in their life and they have negatives in their life. They have flaws. They do things that they wish they didn't do. And in my stories, they inevitably start with someone who's been traumatized in some way, wounded. Sometimes it's mentally, sometimes it's physically, sometimes it's both. And they find their person in the story and they begin their journey to healing. And love is part of that. So it can be a lot sometimes. I tend to have a fair amount of action in my books, everything from chase scenes to explosions to lots of people dying. There's a lot going on in my stories. So to get to their happy ending, they have to do a lot of work.
Lots of work for sure. So, how do you distinguish between a passing idea and a premise with enough legs to sustain an entire book?
You have to look at what the character wants out of life. And most of us want to be happy. Most of us want to succeed. Most of us want to meet our challenges and overcome them. So when you want to have a big enough premise to last the whole story, the challenges that you give your characters have to be large. They have to be meaningful and they have to be difficult to attain. So it's needed that you sit down and think, what is something extremely difficult that I could give this character to do and accomplish? And then put a whole bunch of roadblocks in front of them so that it's not an easy thing to get to their goals. They might have to make difficult decisions. They might have to choose between not a good answer and an even worse answer. And so the reader gets to learn about that character and watch their growth and see them turn into somebody new by the end of the story.
Interesting, Ms. Julie. So do you have a method for collecting and storing ideas?
A method. Um,
Yes.
I have ADHD, so that means my brain is constantly busy with creativity. So I will see somebody do something on the street and I will keep that thing that I witnessed in the back of my head for a while. And then all of a sudden, oh, that would be fun to put in this story. This would be interesting. So my creativity never stops. And I'm constantly thinking about the story and I'm constantly um, creating new scenarios in my head and conversations even. And that's kind of how it happens. I mean, not everybody is like me. They have a different way of writing a story, but I'm basically telling the story to myself as I'm writing it. So I know a fair amount when I start, but I don't know everything.
Miss Julie, how does your ideal writing day look like? Do you have a strict word count goal or time based routine, or do you write in intense bursts?
I usually write in 3 separate blocks during the day. So I like to write about 500 words in the morning, and then 500 words in the afternoon, and then 500 words in the evening. So I usually get 1,500 words a day. Sometimes I will get more than that if I'm really into the story and it's just moving forward smoothly. I might get 2,000 words in that day, but I generally do it in 3 different blocks of time. So I kind of do some in the morning and then I do other things and then I go back to it. So yeah, that's generally how it works for me.
Miss Julie, how important is your physical environment to your process? Do you have a dedicated writing space, and what are its non negotiable elements?
Oh, that's a good question. I have an office in my house. It's basically one of my bedrooms. It's not just my writing room, though. It's also my crafting space. So I make a lot of handicrafts. Um, and so I write a lot in here, but I also like going out to coffee shops where there's other people talking and there's, a lot of people moving around. And I find that actually very relaxing and easy for me to write in as an environment like that. And there's a lot of authors that like writing in coffee shops. It's kind of funny if you want to do it at home, you can actually go on YouTube and and you can have the screen to a coffee shop sound. So you feel like you're in one.
Yes, definitely. And do you have any pre-writing rituals, a specific beverage, short modification, or mediation, or reading a page of favorite author that signal your brains it's time shift into creative mode?
I'm always in creative mode. So I there isn't something I do specifically to start. I wake up thinking about it. So if I'm conscious, I'm always there. That's what happens when you have ADHD. Creativity never stops. So for me, it doesn't ever shut off. I didn't understand for a long time that everyone wasn't like that. I thought we were all that like that, but no, no, that's not entirely.
Yes, always flowing.
Always, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
how do you handle those days when every word feels like pulling teeth? What is your strategy for overcoming procrastination and internal resistance?
That's a great question, and it troubles all writers. Sometimes we get into a state where the story is just dead. We can't seem to come out and figure out what's supposed to happen next. And one of my ways to get through that is to look at the scene that I'm writing right now. And I will I will rewrite the scene, but from a different character's point of view. So if I'm writing in the hero's point of view, I might write from the villain's point of view to see how different that scene is based on what they are experiencing. And often that gets me out of that, that roadblock that's sitting there that's in the way of telling the story is simply looking at it from a different perspective. Another one thing that I like to do if that doesn't work is I'll actually work on a different project. I'll work on a different book and do that for a while and then come back to the other one. And that time away helps me get perspective and distance. And I can usually get through it then without too much difficulty.
Miss Julie, are you a meticulous outliner who plots everything in advance, or do you discover the story as you write?
I definitely discover the story as I write. As I mentioned, for me, it's characters first. So the plot develops out of the characters. So the characters inform the plot. So I don't have an outline of the plot. I have a general kind of idea of where I want it to go. And I almost always know how I want to end it. But everything in the middle, nah, no, I find that out as I'm writing.
Mhm. So, how do you define narrative voice for the new projects? Does it come early, or do you have to write your way into it?
I think you're right about the write your way into it. I just started writing a new book and I stopped at like 2,000 words because, as you mentioned, I didn't have the right narrative voice. And so I've just been thinking about the story and thinking about the characters some more. And now I figured it out yesterday how it should go. So I'm rewriting those words now so that the story is in the right voice. It's got the right feel to it. Because it wasn't there before. So you're right. The narrative voice matters, and it does take some writing into the book to get to it. So usually I have to go back and revise the beginning 2 or 3 times before I'm happy with it.
Miss Julie, how many times do you typically rewire or rewrite your first chapter, and why is it often the tedious part to nail?
That is the truth. The reason why beginnings are so hard to nail
Yes.
is because readers will make a decision about whether they're going to read the rest of the story based on what they see on the first page. Literally, that's all you get. So you can't waste any words on that first page. You can't waste any time on that first page. You have to get into the story, the action, the characters immediately, or you will not get the reader's attention and they'll put it back. So that first page is super important, and I probably rewrite that at least a dozen times until I can get it where I want it. And even after that, I will have other people read it for me and give me feedback. Did this grab your attention? Do you want to turn the page and read the next one and the next one? Are you invested emotionally into the characters on that first page? Because you need to do it there. It's a lot of rewriting.
What are the hardest scene, line, or character we ever had to cut from manuscript for a greater good of the story?
Oh, that's a great question. I had to kill off a villain I didn't want to kill off. as
Mm.
soon as it happened. I wanted the villain to last longer and had a discussion with my editor about it, and they had specific things they wanted me to do. So I did it the way they asked because that's what you do when you work with a publisher. You say, "Yes, I'll fix it," and then you figure out how you're gonna fix it after. But sometimes I get invested in the villain just as much as the hero or the heroine. Like, sometimes my villains are not all bad. They often have 1 or 2 positive things about them, and then I'm like, Could I maybe I could rescue this guy, maybe I can," and then no, I have to kill him.
I need to stop this. Okay, so Miss Julie, how does your mindset and process change when you move from creative, generative phase of writing the first draft to the analytical, structural phase of editing?
Ah, you are asking the best questions ever. So, you are right. It is a big change mentally. I it feels like I'm switching gears in my head. And for me, the editing process happens gradually. So I don't try and do everything at once. I look for one issue at a time and I go through the whole book. So, one issue for me is I tend to repeat some words. I like them. I really think they sound cool, and then I'll put way too many of that word in a on a page or in a paragraph or in a chapter. And so I have to go through the whole manuscript and look for these repetitions that I shouldn't be doing because I need to change up the wording a bit to keep it interesting for the reader. Because if you repeat the same word over and over and over and over, it gets boring and then they don't like it. So that's something I make that mistake in every book. I know it's going to be there, so I go in and I get rid of those. And if I tried to do that and something else, I wouldn't catch either of them. So I really have to do one issue at a time. So
Mm.
sometimes my editing takes quite a while because I have to work that meticulously and just do one thing at a time. Some authors are better at doing multiple things at a time, but I it works out better for me to do one thing at a time. But
Miss,
yeah, it's different mindset entirely from writing.
Mhm. So, Miss Julie, how do you navigate the inevitable waves of self doubt and the feeling that what you're writing is terrible? Do you have a trick for quitting the inner critic?
You're so funny. I have this relationship I go through with every book, and it starts out, "Wow, I'm so excited about this idea. It's great. Oh my goodness, what a wonderful story this is going to be." And then I write, and then all of a sudden, in mid book, about I'm like, "Oh, this is awful. It's the worst thing I've ever written. Oh my God, my readers are going to hate it." And then, but I keep slogging, I keep going, and then, okay, it's not so bad. And as I get to the end, I'm feeling hopeful again. But yeah, I have this huge roller coaster emotionally that I go through when I'm writing a book. And there are lots of times when I feel like, oh, what am I doing? I'm a fraud. I no one's gonna read anything I write ever again. And and honestly, the thing that helps me out is reading my reviews from people. So when you read a book and you leave a review and you talk about what you liked and what you didn't like and why you feel that way, that tells me as the author that I've made you care about those characters, and I've taken you on an emotional journey that maybe you enjoyed, or you thought it was good enough to comment about. And even bad reviews. I just got a review on a book that's 2 stars, but it's a wonderful review, even though it's only 2 stars, because the reader who left it told me how she felt about the whole story, and it was paragraphs long, this review, And at the bottom, she says, I'm going to go and read the other books in the series. And so I thought, wow, I've still managed to convince her to buy the other books. And that's a 2-star review. That's a great review. So I will go and look at the reviews, and often someone will say something that makes my heart lighter and gives me a little bit of a confidence boost to do it again. So for anybody who reads review, because that's an author's lifeline. It actually fuels us. It gives us the confidence to keep going. It's not just about putting stars. It's I want to actually know what you feel when you read a story that I've written.
Yes, definitely. And the middle of a book is famously difficult. What is your strategy for maintaining momentum and tension through the long, murky center of a story?
Yeah, the middles are hard for just about everyone. Um, I have a book that I often go back to if I'm having difficulty in the middle. The book is by James Scott Bell. It's called Writing from the Middle. And he has a way of looking at a plot line from the middle. And so then you look forward and you look forward to the end and you look back at the beginning. And so you take the character's middle. So that's the part where the character has to make, or they recognize themselves in what's happening and they don't like it. And they
Mm,
say that's the moment when they decide to be different, to do different, to think different. And in the middle is the difficult part, because that's the moment your character makes the decision to change. And that decision is difficult. It should be difficult. So you must put them into a position that is like the worst position, or the worst thing that could happen to them at that moment. That's what happens in the middle of the book.
definitely. There's a lot of things happening in the middle of the book. And Miss Julie, do you create playlists for your projects or characters?
I don't. I like to listen to a TV show. I like to listen to old episodes of MASH. Do you remember when MASH was on TV? Or are you too young?
Probably yes.
I will watch episodes, and it's the medical thing going on in my background that I like.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, Miss Julie, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast Law 101 and mental health 101. Love letters in third season, and Movie 101 review, Music 101 in fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Julie, tell us, having one or having gone through the entire process multiple times, what is the single most valuable piece of advice would you give to aspiring writer about crafting their book?
Be persistent. You will face setbacks. You will face the word no from people. You will you will run into difficulties. You will struggle sometimes with the writing. The absolute key to being a successful writer is persistence. Keep going, keep working. Don't give up.
Don't give up, people, because if you have the talent to write, and stop procrastinating and share to the world. So, Miss Julie Rowe, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support
You can find me at julieroweauthor.com.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Julie Rowe because if you support her, for sure, more and more award-winning pieces. So, Miss Julie, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel. It's been a pleasure.
More to come, people. See you soon.